Hello, this is the Black White Soul, and I watched WrestleMania. Oh my god. Okay. I'm glad I'm doing this video after sleeping on it, because I do not know how this would have gone last night, but overall, in my opinion, this is one of the best WrestleManias that they have ever had. It's definitely going to be remembered, that's for sure. Right, so, without further ado, let's get on with this thing. So, pre-show. I'm hearing some noise on the internet that the WWE didn't do too good with this whole half on YouTube, half on the network pre-show thing. I went to put it on over here in the UK, 10 o'clock at night, and not available in your area. Thankfully, my buddy's fandangoed his old iPad, so he was capable of watching it on that. So we popped it on, and yeah, just recap. The match. Really, really, really good match. I believe deserved to be on the actual main event itself. But just for time constraints, it wasn't. But yeah, if they're on the show itself, they would have been squished down. So this is maybe actually a better thing for them. But would be nice to see the tag titles actually elevated a bit. But all teams did spectacularly well. Los Matadors did really good through this. It sort of shows they can actually do some good wrestling and be involved in sort of slightly more serious matches. But of course, they've still got to keep their gimmick. But they were the first eliminated. Ryback exist, and they got eliminated. And then it's the match that it should have been. Usos versus the Real Americans. Good back and forth. The crowd are so behind the Real Americans. But then it was actually Cesaro that got pinned, which I was quite shocked about. But there's no real shock in getting a double super kick to the teeth, and then a double big Samoans jumping on you from the top rope. Good finish, good pin. Usos got over. Best moment of the match. Real Americans standing off with the Usos. We, the people, hearing those amount of people into it. And then the Usos. Usos! Fantastic. But yep, good win for the Usos. It was a good test of them and their skills. And then after the match, Swagger, very, very pissed off. Not too happy with his partner Cesaro. And this leads to Swagger slapping him in the ankle lock. Zepsel, no, you go hug your brother. And then he convinces to go and do it, and then Cesaro gets the better of him. Big swing. For a while, Swagger's thrown off. And Cesaro, done with you guys. I'm walking out of here. Really, really good. Good to get the show started. Oh, man.
And then speaking of the show getting started, brother, as WrestleMania 30 opens up, we get the immortal Hulk Hogan come down to that ring.
And he talks about the Silverdome. Which, in fact, they were in a place called the Superdome. In fairness, I didn't really pay attention to it, so I didn't notice the fumble, but the crowd certainly did. And Hulk Hogan, being the pro he is, and he sort of did the slight fumble, he admitted it, and he played up on it. So good, Hogan getting the crowd hyped. And then all of a sudden, oh my god, me and my mates watching it, we were just electric. It was just Austin, Hogan, face to face. This is something they teased it years ago when Hogan was,
I'm gonna call you out, Rattlesnake.
But Austin gets in the ring and he just does his shtick. A crowd are loving it, seeing these two icons in the middle of the ring. Austin ribs him on about getting the name of the venue wrong, but damn, this was such a good start to the show. Ah! And then as they're going for it, you hear, if you smell what the Rock is cooking. Ah! It might have been the 20 energy drinks I had beforehand and during the show, but I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And then you have the immortal Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock. All three men in the ring. The Rock is doing all of his catchphrases. They're all looking at each other. Oh, god damn, this was a good way to start WrestleMania. Of course, everyone wanted there to be like a Rock or Austin match or thing, but that's not going to happen. This is the perfect way to do it. All three men. Then Austin gets the beers thrown to him. All three of them have a beer bash. Oh, such a good start. And then once they've gone to the back, we get Stephanie McMahon dressing how I wish she would if she came to my house. Not quite what I was expecting from the businesswoman, but I'm not going to complain. I am definitely not going to complain. It was hot. Yeah. Speaking of hot, Triple H's entrance. You all knew it was going to be like ridiculous, but at least he didn't get like foam sprayed on his belly and get some burns from that. But no, good entrance, just completely kingly, regal, Viking, golden helmet, good visuals, with some concubines around. Again, I'm not sure if Stephanie is a uber fan of concubines around Triple H, but hey, if you got the money. Comes down to the ring. Crowd booing, rambling, and then Daniel Bryan comes down. Yes, yes, yes. And Triple H is just not taking him seriously to start with. He's just standing across the ring, not even like in a ready pose, just looking at him. Daniel Bryan almost gets the pin straight away over a quick roll up, and then the match gets started, and it is a brutal match. I will say, for this review, I'm not actually working off notes. I'm just literally going off the top of my head. Because I didn't want to take notes while watching the show. I just wanted to enjoy it. But god damn it, I didn't know if Daniel Bryan was going to make it anywhere. Or even Triple H for that matter, if they were going to live to the main event. Some brutal spots. Daniel Bryan doing some absolutely ridiculous dives to the outside. Doing his diving DDT he does off the apron, which he saves for pay-per-views. And then doing a like swanton from the turnbuckle to the outside. Oh, brutal, brutal match. The announce tables getting pulled apart and Daniel Bryan getting just driven face and slash shoulder first into it. Same thing on the apron. Oh. No, sorry. It was a backdrop on the apron, wasn't it? On his arm. Oh, fuck's sake. Sorry about the language there. But damn, it was such a brutal match. Back and forth. It was just pedigrees, and it was just that inkling, but last minute kickouts. Oh, so happy with this match. But then it came down, and we got our winner of Daniel Bryan. This is the amazing opening match. It was just a phenomenal one-on-one match. Part of me feels that this could have been the main event itself, but you know what? What's to come later on is shocking, but this was a damn good way to start the show. Of course, Triple H attacks Daniel Bryan after the match, so then we've got him getting looked at by trainers, which we'll get another visual of that in the night of him sorting out his shoulder, because apparently it was already bandaged up from the attacks prior. Okay, let's see if I can actually remember what was next. So after this... Okay, I might remember things in slightly the wrong order. But we had Shield versus the New Age Outlaws and Kane. Bit weird coming down to the ring for this one, because you had the New Age Outlaws walk down, start their promo, but then the Shield just come down. I'm assuming the Shield with a match with like, if we get time that goes, your match is getting... And that was very much the case for this. Shield come down in like skull masks, straight in the ring, then Kane comes out, then all it's... And it's just... This is like... I think the match was under 10 minutes. But they just did spot after spot, just... This was definitely a showcase for Roman Reigns. Like, everyone got sort of their, like, signature in. Seth did some dives to the outside. Ambrose just did his flying fury of punches. Yeah, funny enough, like, Kane just didn't seem to be in the match much. It was more the New Age Outlaws taking all the beating. And like Roman Reigns, just like Superman punch, Superman punch, Superman punch, spear, double spear, just tearing through everyone. And just that finish of the double, triple powerbomb. So they got both members of the New Age Outlaws up on Roman Reigns' shoulders. Boom. Pin. I would have liked to see them actually do a solid match, but this sort of confirms that the Shield are together, the Shield are face, and can't wait to see where they go from here on out. We also had... the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. I didn't know what to think going into this because they'd sort of made it a bit obvious that Big Show would win, and because it's WrestleMania 30 and they're going with the whole WrestleMania lineage and connection, I was very worried that Big Show was going to win, especially because he came out on an Andre singlet. And there's only been one or two others that have even got a slight hint. Ziggler got a win on SmackDown before this, so I was hoping, but every time I looked at Ziggler, man, he was like already getting chucked out or just beaten up. Oh. But yeah, man. It's a really good match. Just lots and lots of spots. Lots of action going on. Alexander Ruth says wasn't even in the match, which was kind of a big surprise. But I don't know if he's going to be dropped or what. Bigger surprise was Brad Maddox was in the match. So I assume he's just not a GM anymore? Well, since Triple H has taken over Raw, it does seem pointless him being there. But yeah. Yeah, it's just good spots. Of course it was Alberto that got rid of Ziggler. Bertie just seems to be the person they use to just kill Ziggler. Kofi's spot got a little bit blown. He literally got launched over the turnbuckle and was meant to land on the steps. But he managed to catch it on his feet, but then the momentum took him forward. He managed to turn it. And damn, he had some good core strength in his stomach. Because he fell back, but managed to tense his legs so they did not go down. So his feet were still technically on the steps. He managed to get up on the steps, get back in the ring, then get beaten up and eliminated. As we were getting down to it, Big Show was still in the ring. But then the final two were Cesaro and Big Show. And these two had quite a good... These two could actually have quite a good rivalry, I think. Cesaro is a man that can actually wrestle the Big Show. Like, Sheamus, I think, had the best matches out of the Big Show in the last couple of years. But I think Cesaro could have a good run with him. And it was sort of emphasised in Cesaro picking up the Big Show. Not just picking up and slamming him, but picking him up, strolling over to the ropes, and dumping him over the top. And then he got to have a statue that literally came up to his shoulder. Oh, damn good match. So happy Cesaro is getting that singles push now. Fantastic. Speaking of fantastic, Bray Wyatt versus Cena. Now, in a traditional wrestling sense, this is an okay match, but just for the emotions and the story and the psychological selling, this was a fantastic match. I think the crowd were actually a bit worn out by this time, because they were a bit quiet where they'd usually be a bit more rowdy, but Wyatt managed to conduct his crowd into swaying side to side. Got the whole world in his hands. Which I never thought like a crowd of like 70,000 men would be singing, but you know. Still fantastic match. There's like good solid wrestling from both guys, but the story of the match is what sold it. Like Bray just starting it off on his knees. Do it, John. Do it. And it just seemed more about, it was Bray just trying to make John into the monster. Like, especially later on when Cena is just selling it so well. He's just getting so frustrated. This is like the meanest he has ever looked. And he's like going to crush his skull with the steps, but he just couldn't do it because the kids are watching. Even the referee at one point was like, John, this is not you. Don't do it, John. Because Bray slides him over a chair, and again, he's just like, finish me, John. And he's got the chair, and the ref's like, no, don't do it. But then he manages to take out the Wyatt family minions. But then, shockingly, of a lot of false finishes, moving around, switches it into the AIM, pins him. I was not expecting that. But I can see that means hopefully that this program will continue. The loss isn't going to really hurt Bray too much. He's not a character that is defined by his wins and losses. Because in his head, like, tormenting John Cena is a win. So hopefully this will continue and they'll get some good, like, rubber matches out of this. Okay, how are we going to do this? 3 matches left. Anyone that's seen WrestleMania is going to know about the match that is going to be a bit hard to talk about. So, I'm going to do that match last. So, a certain match was next, okay? Then we had the Divas match, which, at this point, the match before the main event was not going to do well. After the match that I'll actually talk about at the end, it died. But the sad thing is, looking at the match, it's taken away all the negative connotations associated with it and a couple of the shit people in the ring. The Divas went for it. They actually put on. It was an entertaining match. I found it just hard to focus on the match, but not due to their fault. They were busting their asses to put on a good match. Lots of good spots. And I hear in actually the aftermath, one of the Divas' bras broke. So that just makes the match even better, but I couldn't concentrate on that at the time. And AJ Lee gets the win. I so thought she was just going to get buried. I'm so happy. She is the only diva that could have got cheered, and she did. She managed to get some crowd reactions by the end of the match, and the crowd actually cheered. There were some when the Bellas actually started fighting each other, some mixes, but no. All in all, this was actually a really good match. And I just feel sorry for the Divas. Now, this sort of down atmosphere also played into the main event. Like, Orton has his band playing his theme song, and it is silent. Orton comes down to the ring, Batista comes out, sort of botched pyro, silence. Daniel Bryan comes out, and even he is struggling to get sound out of the crowd. Even the yes chants are there, but they're just weak and, frankly, broken-hearted. Because we've got an injured Daniel Bryan going into this, and we've got Batista and Orton. This was another fantastic match. Like, all the matches I've talked about so far are actually all really high-quality matches. I think, in general, this WrestleMania has had the most consistency of good matches. And the guys went for it. Like, Batista has never been an amazing worker, but he did his part. All the guys were doing some good moves. Again, it was just a bit hard to concentrate on the match because of what happened earlier in the night. And you cannot miss out the brutal Batista bomb to reverse RKO through an announce table. Now, they've stripped down the tables. I think what happened is Batista must have... I saw him playing around with the monitor. He must have like dropped it through the monitor or just pushed it the wrong way. So as Daniel Bryan's sailing through the air, Randy Orton catches him, crashes through the table, but a monitor is underneath Randy Orton. When he hits the floor, he lands back first on a monitor. And like the camera, you can actually see this monitor is now bent out of shape. This is not an object that is made to be broken. This is an actual TV monitor that is actually used by the commentators. And when you looked at Orton's back, you could see the lines of where the edging had cut his back up. This showed how tough Randy Orton actually is. And the good performer he can be. If you rewind like 3 years, he was hot as hell. And he carried on. It was a huge spot. So, of course, they had the replays. They had the EMTs strapping Daniel Bryan onto a stretcher. And then you got Batista taking advantage of the injured Randy Orton. And Randy is taking those moves, and you do not understand how much that could have hurt. Just the height he got, the weight the man is landing on that TV monitor, then constantly getting hit and falling on his back. And just, when you have those sorts of cuts, when you do professional wrestling, you have no idea how much that salty sweat going into open wounds just stings. And then when those wounds are hitting the mat, you're having to peel yourself off the mat. This shows the guts Randy Orton has, and he does deserve respect. And if he can just channel this into his personality again, we can have an amazing wrestler. But Daniel Bryan is getting wheeled up the ramp, but he pulls all the restraints off. He fires back up, gets back in that ring. And finally, after these months from SummerSlam, the crowd get their WrestleMania moment. They get their yes chance. They get Daniel Bryan as the champion. But I missed out the fact that Triple H interfered in the match. Brought back the referee that got fired for the fast count when Daniel Bryan won it again, but then had the title taken away and held in abeyance. But that was quickly dealt with, and then dived at all three men outside. Stephanie, Triple H, and the ref were all outside the ring. Dived at them. Stephanie might have hurt her ankle because she was in heels. That was a clever move. But then they went off to the back, and that was them. That was just their part, and then they had no further involvement in the main event. But yeah, the yes chants weren't as loud as they should have been. And yeah, this is all, even now, it is now 2:30 Monday morning in the United Kingdoms. The show finished at 4 o'clock at night. I've slept on it, and even now I still just have this little empty, sort of just hollow feeling in my chest. Because of the match I said I would talk about at the end, which is Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. This match, it was not a good match. The build up to it was lazy, which was fine because I thought these two could just put on a show. And this is just not a great match. Lesnar can be a good worker. And we all know Undertaker is phenomenal, but he did not look good in this match. Like, there were rumours of, like, bad injuries from, like, the Shield thing. He just kept getting injured. For the last couple of years, he's been injured after every main event. There was, like, bad illness, I believe, last year. Undertaker did not look well. He did not look like the Undertaker we know. And you just can't... It might have been that for the last 5 years, Undertaker has stolen the show. Triple H, CM Punk, Michaels and Michaels. These were 5 phenomenal matches in a row, which were probably all match of the years. So maybe our expectations were too high. And there's just no way he could follow it up in his condition, at his age. And then not to mention, as I've said, every other match on this show was phenomenal. Everyone gave it their all. Even the Divas match I give credit to. It was a good match. But this match just wasn't good. It just wasn't up to what we expect. And Brock Lesnar got the pin and ended the streak. That is the hard thing that it is to take. Like, I have to admit, at this point I was worn out because all the matches were solid. I was actually just chatting to my friends a bit back and forth. The match just was not pulling me in. And we were like, sort of noticing the main falls. And then out of nowhere, this F5 gets hit, and we're just all like, yeah, okay. And then the ref counts to 3. And that is the reaction that the thousands of people in attendance had, was just shock and silence. Just, wrestling fans are known for being rowdy, and regardless of who gets pinned, there's always some reaction. This just had nothing. It was just a whole arena of people in just shock. Lesnar's music didn't hit. I was waiting for like the ref to say no, he put a hand on the rope, he got a foot to the rope, it was a fast count, something. But Heyman and Lesnar just smiled and walked away with the sign changing to 21-1. Okay, from a fan's perspective, I hate this so fucking much. Because the streak is just, it shouldn't have been broken. It's something that the fans are just like, anyone that's a non-wrestling fan just will not understand how crushing this is. So anyone that has watched wrestling, and I watched it from when I was like the age of 6. I watched from the early 90s. I saw The Undertaker in his original form. I've seen his early matches. And for the streak to be over is just crushing. But The Undertaker would not have been forced into dropping the streak. The Undertaker is the ultimate company's man. He's only been in the WWE. He's never gone off. He's had breaks here and there, but he's never been to any other company. He's never taken his ball and gone home. He's done what's right for business. And a big thing you do is when you walk away, you do the job. You let the next person have the victory. And that's what Undertaker did. He lost. Which in pro wrestling is what you do when you leave a company. You do the job. I know I'm rambling, I'm repeating, but I consider myself a smart fan. I won't call myself a professional wrestler, but I've done professional wrestling. I've been honoured enough to meet some of the big names. I've helped out backstages. I've done shows. I've wrestled pros. But that little 6-year-old child in me just can't accept this. And then that was shown in the crowd, and just the Total Divas match going on after this was just meant to die. And even Daniel Bryan's amazing WrestleMania moment will be soured by this. But it looks like Undertaker was just, he just can't do it anymore. Undertaker is a man. And he's probably a man that wants to be able to walk when he's older. And he wants to probably enjoy a bit of retirement. From what he's done, he's going to have countless injuries that are never going to go away. Maybe it would have been better if he just hadn't come back for this year. and just finished with that phenomenal match with Punk. Because, like, and also from a booking perspective, I don't see what benefit this has. Brock Lesnar doesn't need anything like this. Him just showing up is enough to sell things. Brock Lesnar ending the streak doesn't increase his stock at all. If anything, my fancy booking would have been to have Bray Wyatt do the deed. You could have had a cerebral match which would have protected Undertaker's body. Again, the match would have been more about the story than the actual content of the moves. But then, if it was Bray that ended the streak, and he doesn't do anything, then that's a waste. What is done is done. I can't wait to hear what all the sort of podcasts I listen to and other wrestlers on YouTube are going to say. I'm not going to be angry at the WWE because Undertaker, if he didn't want to do it, he wouldn't have done it. He's at a point where he doesn't need to, but he did it because he's a company man. And just for all his years of entertainment, what he's done in the ring, people he's helped in the business, helped keep strong. Just thank you, Undertaker. You are one of the most iconic wrestlers of all time. You'll never be forgotten. But enjoy your life outside of wrestling. And thank you. Just thank you, Undertaker.